In the time it takes to finish one stiff drink, we're going to figure out what gives Brennan Barry the right to talk about boxing. We're going to swap some stories about getting punched, and we're going to figure out if one stiff drink makes us better at winking. So pour yourself a stiff drink and join in on this episode of The Boondock Perspective,
where class is optional.
It's yet another carefree Maine night, and you're listening to The Boondock Perspective, your real Northern Backwoods podcast. I'm with my special guest, Brennan Barry. You want to give a little bit of background about yourself while you're here? Who you are?
Yeah, I'm like yourself, grew up in a small northern Maine town of West Forks. My family owns a general store, just like a mom and pop store, and I grew up in the small community schools, one-room schoolhouses. Then I graduated out of Valley High in Bingham. It was a junior and senior high school combined. It was like 130 kids total. So, my whole childhood was always around small communities and not large groups of people. And I got into boxing at a pretty young age because of my brother, and that's why I'm here now, because I was an amateur fighter for 6 or 8 years, and now I turned pro 5 years ago, and I've had 16 pro fights and just trying to make it happen out of a small town.
So you're a pretty serious boxer. I think I can say that out loud.
Yeah, no, I take it very serious. Yeah, definitely. It's a big part of my life right now, for sure.
I didn't realize that boxing was. I didn't realize it was so prevalent in this state.
Yeah.
And then I met you, and I started talking to people in Bangor about it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, yeah, it's pretty big here. We all pay attention. I was kind of surprised by that because I'd never heard of it growing up.
No, and I think it's probably like that with a lot of different sports, especially independent sports. If you're not into it, you don't hear about it, and you won't read the articles if you're not into it because it doesn't catch your eye. But once you start talking to somebody that does it, you might feel like you can relate. So that's boxing is it's a very tight community, and it's a small world. Once you get in the boxing world, you start knowing people, them from all over the world, or at least somebody that knows somebody. But it's pretty good sport in Maine right now. I think it's grown in the past few years. I'd like to think that I was a part of the growth of it, for the comeback that it's made, because at one point boxing was huge in Maine. Portland Expo down in Portland, Maine, held some of the most pro fights, in the country. I mean, it was every Thursday night, I think it was. Thursday night fights, or maybe it might have been Friday, but it was once a week pro fights. I mean, that's crazy, because, I promoted this show in April, and it took me months to plan, and I can't imagine promoting a show every week. I don't know how I can't even process that in my brain, how that's possible, but they did it, and it was very, very successful, and, it won't ever be like that again in Maine, obviously, but it's nice to see it so popular now and so many kids getting involved, and
it's awesome.
It's just a great outlet. It's what a lot of people are missing. A lot of people are missing something in their life, and sometimes boxing really can fill that void. It's nice.
It's good. Well, we'll officially start this conversation in a couple seconds, because this one's not going to take that long. We're going to take a quick detour in order for us to figure out if alcohol officially makes you a better winker.
Yeah.
We need to do a control study. So I guess the question is, can I wink? I think that's all we have to do.
I think you got it.
So later on, we'll figure out whether or not I can do it again after this stiff drink. That's a pretty lame activity, but
yeah,
I'm a pretty lame guy. So
hey, it works.
Cool. So yeah, I don't know. I lived right next to you. Like, I'm the town over.
Yeah.
And I heard about your career through a friend of mine who made a video about it.
Yeah.
And of course I heard about it that way because I'm a videographer.
Yep.
Yeah. But other than that, I think if I never would have known him, I don't think I would have known that you boxed.
No, that was a fun project too. He did a really good job with that. And that was such a big deal for me because I think that was realistically like the first video that was ever made. And it was so cool to sit back and watch. But yeah, no, man, it's crazy. The word just doesn't get out there like you think it would. Obviously nowadays it's better. There's more and more people that are on board with it and know that I fight. But in the beginning it was insane, man. People, you would tell people and they're like, oh geez, never heard about it. When have you ever fought in the area? It's like, yeah, we fought last week at the high school, and people just hadn't heard. So it's nice that it's getting out there.
Where'd you start? Like, there's nothing near us.
No, man. The first gym I ever went to was Lewiston.
What's that drive? That's pretty far.
It was 2.5 hours each way.
Good Lord,
We used to go 2 days a week. My parents would bring us. It was mostly my brother. He fought out of that gym. I never really did. And that's why I got into it, because of my brother. And then we started a gym in Skowhegan, which was the closest that it had ever been. That was really cool. And then, things happen. Just like anything, you switch trainers, or just like switching a job. So I moved around a little bit. I found myself at a gym actually near here for oh my goodness, 6 or 8 years, I guess I trained in Stockton Springs. And now I train the furthest away I've ever trained, and I train in Boston mostly. Obviously, it's not practical to go there 5 or 6 days a week like what it takes to train to be a fighter. But I'm there for 2 to 3 workouts a week. I go down and stay for a couple days, and I do the rest on my own, or I'll go to Portland for sparring, which I haven't been able to do that now for quite a while because of my surgeries and injuries. And you got to stay healthy. This is a sport that really requires 100% health. So I haven't been able to do a lot of the training that I should be, but now I'm back to 100% again and feeling good. So hopefully we can just stay healthy for a while.
Yeah, we'll talk about those injuries in a minute. I think.
For sure.
But it's a 5-hour trip to Boston from the Forks.
Yeah, it was 250 miles exactly to the gym.
Which is insane. And you do 3. So what's that like? You get there, you practice at night. At night, you get a hotel. You get in the morning.
Yeah.
You spend the day recovering, and then you do another one at home.
Yeah, a lot of times we'll do double sessions down there just because you're there. You got to take advantage of it. My grandparents live in the North Shore in Peabody, so I get to stay there a lot too. We do whatever it takes, and I got friends at the gym. I can stay at their places if I needed to. But Jillian comes down with me a lot. It's my wife, so a lot of times we'll make a trip out of it and get a hotel. And she's been very supportive, so it makes it possible, obviously, to go 2 states away to train. It's unrealistic, and you don't hear about it much. But thankfully, I've got the support behind me to do it. It's pretty cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
I've met your trainer, your coach.
Yeah,
your
Ed.
coach.
Yeah.
Ed. Yeah, Ed
Lavash. Yeah. Great
He's
guy.
a pretty cool dude.
Oh man.
I had a good conversation with him.
You know how so you hear all these stories, or you read it in a book about how certain things happened at certain times in people's lives, and it just had to happen that way. It's like, man, he came along when I really needed it. You know what I mean? I didn't have. I had a really good setup. It was at his gym. One of his former fighters, a good friend of mine, was training me, Tommy Duquette, and he had to make a big life decision, and he moved to California for big opportunities. So I was kind of left at the gym without a trainer, but that only lasted a few
Is that
days.
kind of like having no direction? Is that
It can be. I mean, it can be. Because even the best in the world, it doesn't matter, 30-year-old, 35-year-old world champion, the best in the world, they have a coach, they have to have somebody. And by no means am I comparing myself to those people, but I'm saying, it doesn't matter what level you're at, you need a coach. And of course I need a coach. And there couldn't have been a better man to step in for Tommy than Ed. I mean, Ed taught Tommy how to box, so I have my former coach's coach. So it's pretty cool.
That's cool.
And they're just, my goodness, if I stop boxing today, Ed is still going to be in my life. He's such a great guy.
Was he, I don't remember, he wasn't at your wedding, correct?
Ed was there.
He was able to be there?
Yep. He came up, which, again, just goes to show you.
He's in your
this
life.
guy, he trains, there's got 200 members that go to his gym, and he's probably got 25 competitive fighters. And, 250 miles away, he comes to my wedding. His kids were sick. They literally saw me get married and went back to the cabin because they weren't feeling good. So those are things I'll never forget. Great people. The whole Boston team came. They were all there. So it just goes to show you the mutual love for each other. I love them, they love me. Good people, and I'm really glad I ended up at this gym. And I'm very certain that I will end my boxing career at this gym. This is where I'll train here until I'm done.
I hope this doesn't sound too morbid, but speaking of ending your boxing career, you almost did.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know how else to put it.
It's true, man. Obviously, when my buddy Joel, passed away the day. It was technically the morning after my wedding. He obviously had a horrible car accident and passed, and he was one of the big reasons why I boxed. We both shared the love for it. So, when he left, I was like, oh my God, why am I fighting? Like, I am not going to enjoy it the same. And I definitely don't enjoy it the same. It isn't the same, and it never will be. And I thought about stopping. I was like, no meaning to it. But I mean, I was at a really low point, obviously. I didn't know, there wasn't much. I didn't even want to eat. Yeah. So, boxing wasn't really on my mind.
There were several things happening, too, surrounding that in your boxing career.
Oh, the injuries. Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, I mean, I've had 3 pretty major shoulder surgeries, all due to boxing. And I've had a lot of issues with cuts. I cut easy, so sparring and fight. When I fight, my eyes get cut, and that just every time you got to sit back 4 to 6 months, it's like, oh my God, here's a half a year. And I'm not getting any younger. And boxing is not an old man sport, man. It's for the young guys. Like, I'm already starting to be one of the older ones, and I'm only 30. So it's like I felt like a lot of things were going against me. But the boxing game is like that. It seems like always odds are against you. I mean, like, guys are trying to punch you in the head, man. What's positive about that, right? So it's I'm glad I'm sticking it out and I'm still doing it. Am I 100%? Back? No, I'm 100% healthy, but I'm not 100% back yet. So, still climbing the ladder, man. I got a lot left, I hope. So, we'll go for it.
How do so you almost end your career?
Yeah,
right?
I mean,
and you spring back in this. Honestly, I'm a pretty big Brandon Berry supporter. So, in this relatively triumphant recovery, like I'm not sure. People were rooting for you. Like, everyone's rooting for you.
For sure.
But how many people expected a full recovery?
Yeah, no. I mean, I'll be honest, I didn't know if I expected it. The surgeries all were successful, and, it just seemed things just kept happening. And it was always such a shit luck situation, like, oh my God, this would never happen to anybody else. Or I've never seen this happen when I'd go back to the surgeon. But, this is, I think, the best I've ever felt after surgeries. Even after the first one, I didn't feel like it was completely correct. But I had to say, like, obviously it never will be, it isn't the same as it used to be. Then the second time I tore my shoulder, then I had a different surgery that time. And then I fell on the ice after I recovered, and I reversed everything that they did, so they had to go back in and do it all again. But I really do feel strong now, and I feel good, and it isn't me just saying that. I mean, I really, like, my last fight, I never once thought about my shoulder. I didn't perform very well, but I never had any issues with my shoulder. So that was
I was there. You were pretty gung-ho.
That was a win in itself.
Regardless of performance, you were pretty aggressive.
Yeah, I was throwing as hard as I could. I wasn't worried about it. So that was a win in itself, regardless of how the rest of the night went. I was happy with that for sure. So
I think you have one of the most tragic but also, like, really cool ways to have gotten injured. Like, it's not a cool that it happened.
Yeah, right.
And it's not cool that I can't explain it, because when you explained it to me, it was incredible. So I kind of want you to paint the picture for the people watching of what that fight looked like for you.
So the first time?
Yeah, so the first time, you injured
yourself. The first time it happened.
The rest have been because of it, right? The kind of subsequent problems, right?
Yeah. So, I forget if it was November 15th. I forget if it was 2014 or 2015. I think it was 2014. I was at the Portland Expo. Pretty big fight. It was a bigger fight than I realized at the time. I guess I was kind of riding a mental high, a little higher than I should have been. Things were really taking off. I mean, we were just selling insane tickets. It was like, oh my God, my dream is coming true. Like, people know who I am. Like, I'm an undefeated professional fighter, right? So
not to be weird, but your picture is in the Texas Roadhouse in Bangor.
Yeah, right. I still haven't seen that.
It's like above the urinal.
Everybody keeps telling me that. I haven't seen that.
That was the first time I think I ever saw what you looked like. It was in the urinal. It was just like Brandon Berry, professional boxer.
I gotta go see this. I gotta go see which one they have. That's great. I'll bring them in another one.
I wonder if it's even still there.
No, that's great.
It's not like I'm there all the time.
No, I gotta go check that out. So So like I said, things were going really well, and I didn't have a super successful amateur career, so I was trying to like get every bit of this that I could as a pro. I was undefeated. I mean, it was amazing. So I took a fight at the Portland Expo versus an undefeated fighter from Worcester, Mass, named Freddie Sanchez. Very, very good fighter. Better than I even had thought, but I knew he was good. I didn't take him lightly by any means, but I guess I couldn't picture losing yet. So anyways, I had a really hard time making weight for this fight, which is definitely not out of the ordinary, but this was just a different weight cut. I had fought twice in the past couple of months before that. I was really busy. I just couldn't make the weight. I was supposed to be 140 pounds, and oh my God, I was sitting in the sauna for hours. Nothing coming out. So I was super dehydrated. I missed the weight. I didn't make the weight at the weigh-ins, which is that's a big problem. Like when you do that, that is like such a unprofessional thing. It's embarrassing. It's just not, you don't do that, right? So they told me that I had to weigh in again the next day, and they only allowed me to gain a couple pounds. And normally between weigh-ins and fights, I mean, you gain 15, 20 pounds. It's gross. It's ridiculous. It shouldn't be done that way, but that's how everybody does it. So anyways, I came in at the weight that we agreed to before the fight. Again, super dehydrated still, obviously. So I wasn't myself, and I was getting sick, which happens a lot when you're cutting weight like that. I was getting like, coming down with something, head cold, and just health-wise, I wasn't feeling too good. We fought anyway, which is just what you do. You're supposed to fight. I got 250 tickets sold. We're in Portland. It's a big deal. So I know it is what it is. So we go out and fight, and I was doing all right. I felt okay. He was definitely the superior fighter. Like he was doing better. But at this point, I still felt pretty good. And then I think it was early in the second round. I threw a left hook, and my shoulder popped out of socket. I never had that happen in my life, but there's no mistaking it. Like I knew exactly what happened. I mean, you could see it. It just popped out. And I was like, oh my goodness. And we stopped for a second, and I was looking at the ref almost like for help, like, hey dude, can you help me out here? And then it popped right back in. So I was like, oh, I'm good. I'm like, whatever. It's never happened before, so we got nothing to worry about, right? So I'm fighting along, and all of a sudden, then it just, every time I'd even think about moving my arm, it's just popping out. It's popping out. I can hear it. And the only way I could describe the sound was like if you've ever been underwater and you drop a rock and it hits another rock, like underwater, like it's just such a loud cracking noise. That's what it was. And the fight was already headed south. That obviously was like the end of it, So we went back to the corner. My coach at the time was just like, what's going on? I told him, and they wanted to stop the fight. That was the smart thing to do. That is what should have been done, but I was just too bullheaded, and I was like, no way. Like we're gonna go through with this. I'm fine. Don't worry. I'll use my right. We'll stay away. Blah blah blah. I designed this game plan that's not even possible. So go back out, and I'm getting my ass handed to me in the third round pretty bad. So we go back. So it's only a 4-round fight. So I go back corner and tell him, all right, we got one more round. We're going to make it through this, right? And then Freddie really turns up the heat. He drops me. So it's my first time being knocked down as a professional. And oh my God, I remember like here I am on the ground, and we're in Portland. I mean, this whole place is chanting my name. Like this place is coming alive, trying to get me, they're like trying to perform surgery on my shoulder for me, during the fight. Like, let's get this kid going. So I remember I was just in disbelief. I'm like, I can't believe what is going on here. Like, what it is. I stayed calm, and I got up, and I was very close to finishing the fight, but the ref did a good job. I was on the ropes taking too many shots, and they stopped the fight. So that's considered, it's a TKO, a technical knockout. So here I am in front of my hometown. I just got my ass handed to me. Obviously, something's wrong with my shoulder. First time in my life I had a concussion. I was completely concussed. I don't remember a lot of the things after the fight. There's some things that were real patchy. I remember thinking, like, how did I get here? I was curious on how I actually got to the venue. So anyways, surgery was a couple months later. It was the quickest I could get it. And, recovery. 7 months later, I was back in the ring in Skowhegan, and successfully came back and won. I won a few more fights. Everything was good. I felt better. My pride was healed. My shoulder was good. Everybody was behind me still. That was great. I think I actually gained more fans from it. People just like really jumped on board then. And then it happened again. Where the hell did it happen? In Lewiston, actually. I was fighting in April. No, it was June of 2016. I was fighting a kid named James Lester, who I had previously fought to a draw a few months prior. Very slick fighter. I was very proud of that fight, even though it was a draw. I was very proud because he was slick, like a very, very good boxer. And very similar thing happened. Missed weight, dehydrated, shoulder did the same thing. It didn't pop out of socket, but right off quick, the same thing happened. I could feel I tore whatever they had fixed, which was the labrum. Lost that fight. I went through the whole fight with it like that again. Same deal, but we went the distance.
What's going through your head?
Just like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening again. Like, again, this is happening. You know, and this is like a perfect example, though, that the sport won't lie to you. You can lie to the sport. You can lie to all the people around you. You can trick everybody. You know, you can even hire somebody to make a badass training video of you. But if you're really not training like that all the time, you know, everybody might think you are, but the night of the fight, it's going to come out. And that's kind of what happened again that night. You know, obviously I wasn't training like I should. I didn't make weight. I was off. I just wasn't 100% on, and shoulder blew out again. And, you know, so here I am. Let's go get surgery again. So I went back to the same surgeon, had it done, successful surgery. They did a different procedure this time, much more. They get like a donor bone and all kinds of stuff.
Oh, my God.
Oh, it was ridiculous. So woke up from that, feeling pretty down about things. But I said, you know, I'm going to give this boxing thing one more shot. You know, if it blows out again, I'm going to have to just be done with it. So I was back, you know, I recovered. They actually gave me the go to start hitting the heavy bag. This is like, you know, months and months later. And I'm feeling pretty good. And I slipped on the ice one night. And
You slipped on the ice?
Yeah, I walked down my steps to let my dog out, slipped on the ice, went way up in the air, and I landed on my elbow. And I remember thinking, like, I could not believe how bad my elbow hurt. Like, I wish there was a video of how hard I fell. That's what I was thinking. Like, nobody would believe this, right? So I cracked my elbow, but my shoulder felt good. So I was like, whatever, this is great. You know, my elbow will heal. They told me it'd be like 3 to 4 weeks. 3 to 4 weeks went by, and my shoulder was really hurting still. So I was like, I better go get a scan or MRI or whatever the hell it is. And sure enough, man, the screws that they put in, one of them was like floating, and the bone that they put in was cracked. So like, yeah, we got to do it again. And I was like, what do you think? Like, so now here I am. I said that if this happened again, I was going to quit boxing, but this didn't happen boxing. So maybe I can kind of like reverse what I was saying. So I asked the doctor, I was like, what do you think, man? He's like, listen, I think it'll be the exact same success rate as this last surgery. I think that was a freak accident, and I don't think that'll happen again. So I think we should do it. So we did, and I recovered the way they said once again, and I've fought twice since, and my shoulder feels better every week. Feels great. Like, I'm strong. I feel completely fine. So now it's just kind of putting all the other pieces to the puzzle together, you know. Jeez. The shoulder feels good. But at the same time, see, what people don't realize is I lost like 3 years, man.
Yeah.
You know, I fought here and there, but, you know, you don't get that time back. And this is such a young man's game. And when you don't have raw talent on your side, you know, a couple of years is more like 5 years. You know, it's brutal, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to take a quick break in the conversation, and we'll get back to it. I want to let the people at home know that these are some pretty slick mugs. I like Brandon's a lot. You can buy his at his. I'm sure we can buy yours somewhere. But
yeah.
We Boondock Perspective mug, Boondock Perspective coaster. I'm pretty psyched about how these came out. Honestly, I'm surprised at how good these came out. I didn't expect to get them that good. I've seen a lot of crappy coasters, and I don't believe it's a crappy coaster. Probably not the best way to plug your own stuff, but that's how I'm going to plug it. If you have any interest in really showing some support for the show because you're entertained by it, reach out to me and let me know you want to buy one of these. I think that'd be great. Any money that I get coming in, you know, I'm going to use to advance the podcast. And I believe I'm going to start getting merch of whiskey glasses, beer steins, whiskey glasses, so you guys can drink at home and feel like a little bit more part of the show. And if you're interested in that, just let me know again.
And you can drink anything out of it.
You have no clue.
It doesn't have to be alcohol.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be alcohol.
No. I mean, it can be.
I prefer it to be. I'm drinking rum and coke out of a coffee mug, so I guess that probably doesn't
from
reflect
Northern
well
Maine.
on me.
You're from Northern Maine. I get it. I get it.
Cool. So yeah, I was at your last fight, and I was recording it from the top, and there were a lot of moments that I was really, really impressed.
Yeah.
Specifically, I don't remember the guy. I don't remember what round you were in.
Thank God.
But the person had. I saw evidence of what I thought was an MMA move.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
I saw you get mad that it happened and straighten him out.
Yeah, yeah.
Really quick.
Oh my goodness, what the behind the scenes things that happen when you're promoting a show, or even if you're not promoting, if you're just involved in boxing, the untold things that happen are just like, oh, you would ask yourself, why is this kid even doing this? So I promoted the show. That was my first time ever promoting a show completely on my own. And when I say on my own, it's not like I literally did it by myself. There's so many people helped, but like that was my promotion, right? So I had a great opponent. Like it was just actually it was I probably was getting in a little over my head, but he was a good fighter from North Carolina.
He was from NC, really?
The one that I was supposed to fight.
Oh, okay.
So he
I was
backed out
going
on
to
me.
say, none of these are matching up, I think, with the guy I
Backed
remember you
out on me
watching.
like 6 days before the show, and I had already bought his plane tickets for him and his coach, right? And like, you know, I can't get that money back. I mean, he didn't come, and I got insurance on the flights, but it was only for the passenger. And again, live and learn, right? I didn't know that. So here I am scrambling. I'm like, oh my god, like main event on the show. Obviously, people are going to be pretty pissed if this fight doesn't happen. So I got to find a replacement. So
You got 6 days to find a replacement.
yeah, and I mean that's not enough time because you got to make sure these dudes have medicals. Sometimes just the medicals alone take 5 or 6 days, and that's if somebody's fast. Boxers, man, you got to like babysit us. You got to be like, all right, you got to go get your physical today, buddy. And it's just it isn't like easy. It's not like you're calling a truck driver and like, hey, come deliver this. It's like it's not like that. So I got to find people that you can like believe. Then you're gonna overpay because they know you're desperate. So you're overpaying for these guys. You gotta buy him a hotel. You gotta buy him food. You gotta buy him gas. You gotta give them money, 2 days before you're even supposed to, so they can bail their girlfriend out of jail. Like the things that come at the fighter, you just gotta like shake your head and be like, listen, don't even tell me what this money is for. Here it is. I don't even want to hear why. Just like I need you. You know that you're gonna take advantage of this. So like, let's make this happen. So, anyways, this kid came from Brazil originally, and he's living in Mass. Not my first choice of an opponent, believe me. But honest to God, it was the only one I could get. It was the only thing I could get, other than obviously bringing in somebody that is going to murder me.
Just destroy
and I can't do that right now. Like I'm not interested in that. I'm trying to build my confidence back here, get a few wins. So anyways, we get this kid. He served the purpose. I got the win. He put up what he could as a tough fight. I was never in any trouble or anything. But yes, he did have an MMA background, which just didn't make the fight itself very tasteful. He wasn't a very superior boxer, should I say. So, it is what it is. The night went off. We had to change venues, because of the whole...
Yeah.
Obviously, the deputy that got shot, they were still searching for the shooter. They had to use the original venue as a command center. And obviously, what am I supposed to do about that? I completely understand. That was way more important than the boxing event. Mm-hmm. But the town came together and we got to use the high school. Everything went off great. But the week leading up to it was very, very stressful because there was so much money tied up in this event. But yeah, at the end of the night, I got a win. We got the fight. Everything went good. It's just what it takes out of you leading up to it, man. I don't even know if there's a scale that could measure the amount of stress. But you can't let anybody know that either. Because the minute you tell people, like, hey, I don't have a fight and we don't have a venue right now, but don't worry, I'm going to figure it out. Like, you kidding me? You know how many people are going to be like, hey, can I get my money back? And if you do make it happen, I'll just buy the tickets at the door. Like, and I wouldn't be able to blame them. Like, I'd want my money back too. Yeah. But that's why you're just gonna keep it quiet. And I was confident we'd make it happen, and we did. So
it was a pretty good fight. I remember the guy next to me. There was two of us recording the fight. One was for the news, and one was I was working for you. And I remember that an evidence of an MMA move appeared. You were separated by the referee. You came at him, and at some point in the relatively recent, like quickly after that, you got haymakered and didn't stop moving. I don't think you blinked, and you just went at him and straightened him out.
Yeah, right.
And the guy next to me, that's exactly what he said. He goes, when you haymaker a guy and he doesn't blink, he's like, you stop fighting.
Yeah, right, yeah.
And I thought it was, I thoroughly enjoyed the fight.
Yeah.
It was a good time. I met some pretty good people.
Oh man, we had some good people there.
You got a good support system.
Yeah, man, we packed the place. I don't know how many people were there. There had been, between 800 and 1,000. We didn't actually get a definite count. Place was standing room only. Just like anything, there's some fine tuning that needs to be done. We can make it better. I know I can. Hopefully we'll run another show this fall, and as long as I don't bang my head off the wall too hard leading up to that, and then maybe I'll actually pull it off. But it does get stressful, and you want to pull your own hair out, but it's worth it when it's all said and done.
And so a couple other cool things happened that night. I remember because Corporal Cole, Corporal, which one? I don't remember how to pronounce it. Corporal Cole, was unfortunately taken from this world by some coward.
Yeah.
And your venue was moved.
Yeah.
And they caught him that night. They caught him an hour before the fight started?
Yeah, a couple hours before, man.
I remember you gave a pretty cool speech.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, the place went nuts.
Yep.
That was like the biggest victory. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Honestly.
It really was. The place went nuts. People loved it.
Because it was what, 15 minutes away from?
Yeah.
It wasn't even.
Not even. I
It was
mean,
like 5
honestly,
minutes away from the
it was
venue.
right down the street.
Yeah,
so we were
so
close. We
people
were pretty
were
close to him the whole time.
Pretty hyped up.
I think it gave everybody a good reason to get out.
Yeah.
They knew they were safe.
I'm sure it was a
They didn't have
tense
to
week.
come home and check the sheds to see if anybody was there. Like, they knew he was captured. Let's go out and have a good time. So it was nice. I'm glad that happened. I'm glad I was a part of that. And I was obviously very happy for the family to finally maybe have some closure, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Nothing gets better, but I'm sure they're happy. I talked to Eugene's brother, Tom, who's a good family friend, and they had wished they could be at the fights. Tom used to be a pro fighter. Eugene's brother was a pro boxer. So it's crazy, man. Like I said, the boxing world's a small world, and we wish that they could have been there, but they'll be at the next one.
Yeah, sure.
Good people.
There was you ended up doing a raffle, I think.
It was successful. We do a 50-50 usually, and sometimes it'll end up being like $400 or $500 total, and that's like a good one. And this time we announced that we're going to dedicate all of the our half to the Cole family. So I was like, hopefully people will jump on board with this, So we didn't have any raffle tickets. We're like, oh shit.
Oh really? I didn't know that.
So we had my buddy that was singing the national anthem, Darren Bissett, like running all around. He went to like every store in Skowhegan. Nobody had any. He found some anyway. So we only had like an hour to sell the tickets. It wasn't like an all night deal like normal. So like, oh shit, not enough time. Well, he went around. Him and my wife and a few other people were like selling tickets crazy, and we ended up selling like it was $1,500 worth of tickets, right? So I was like, that's the most by like five times or whatever, 3 times as much as normal. And in about a quarter of the time. So when we announced the winner, the winner, I forget his name now, donated his half back as well. So we were able to give, it was like just shy of $1,500. I think it was $1,500 to the Cole family. So that made me feel good, man. That was nice. Yeah. And it was like such a little gesture, but it was the most that we could do, and I'm glad that we were able to do something. And money means nothing in a situation like that, but I think it's just the fact that, they know we were thinking of them. Yeah. That's all.
It was a night of victories, I think.
Yeah, man. We were able to do a lot of cool things, so it was, if all shows could go that smoothly, that would be great. It's just like I said, the week leading up to it, man. Oh my goodness.
How can people go find you? Is it your Facebook?
For that fight in particular, or for me?
Just in general.
Me, I got Facebook. I got my athlete page. I forget. Everybody is so quick to rattle that off, like, go to Facebook / whatever. I don't know what that is, but if you type in my name, Brandon the Cannon Barry, I got Instagram, Twitter, and I try to stay very active on all of that to try to let everybody know what's going on and where I'm fighting and when and who. And
you've done pretty successful so far.
Yeah, it's been fun. Without social media, I don't know where any of us would be nowadays trying to make it from scratch. I don't know how they did it 10 years ago, 15 years ago. I'm very lucky for that. We have a good following, and a lot of credit has to go to my family's store too, because so many people come in and out. You get
You've got the logo with you.
Yeah.
On your arm.
That's right.
Where
is it? Yeah. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah.
Very good.
Check out Barry's.
Yeah. Let's check out Barry's store. You go on their Facebook as well. We have a really, really good sausage, egg, and cheese sandwich. So.
Cool.
If you're not into breakfast, just come back in later for one of my mom's egg salads, and those are pretty good too.
Nice.
You also have a little bit of family store.
It's funny how you and I grew up so similar. Yeah. Small towns.
What are you guys selling the milk for right now? No,
I have no clue.
I'm just kidding.
That's a huge deal, man.
Yeah.
You have some
how
people
much for a
loaf
loaf of bread, Bob?
Yeah. No, yeah, it's funny how similar you and I grew up.
Oh man, it's crazy.
Just a decade ahead of each other.
And it's just like you grew up with all the small town. There's so much more positive. Positive always, but some of the negative shit's just like, all right, calm down here.
Small town,
yeah,
small town drama.
Just chill out a little bit. Everybody's heard me on the scanner the other night getting pulled over for a taillight out. I know. You knew about it before I did. When they run my name, everybody has a scanner. Everybody's checking the police log. Everybody knows your business. There's nothing that gets hidden in small towns. And oh my God, that's just funny. Hear about that Barry boy speeding again the other night? It's like, yeah, I know. Sorry, guys.
Well, I think that as I finish up my drink, I need to figure out whether or not I can wink. Right? That kind of rhymed. So it's time to play. Does consuming one stiff of alcohol increase your skill level when performing weirdly specific things? Hashtag we do not condone the use of alcohol for the purpose of self-improvement. And I think I can.
I think it was better that time.
Really?
Yeah.
No. Really?
No, that was better.
Oh.
It was good.
We've got to
So
stick this right to the apparently column, and we're going to call it good.
I like that. Very cool.
I decided to go with the long title because it's not a very fun game.
No.
Had to make it a funny title.
Very cool.
Cool. All right. Well, I think we're gonna call it a nice. It was really nice talking to you.
Oh, dude, me too. Thanks.
Always a
that was
blast
fun.
to
I've
talk
always
to you.
wanted to do one of these. I see all these people on set up just like this. I always see this shit. Like all my favorite fighters all in podcast. I'm like, oh, fucking assholes. Why can't I be in one? I wanted to make my own. This is great.
Cool. Yeah. Well, if you ever want to make your own, I mean, we've got a pretty good audio engineer that nobody on the cameras can see right now, but he's doing a pretty kick-ass job. So if you want to learn. Yeah, so I'd say if you want to watch more episodes of The Boondock Perspective, you can check it out on SoundCloud and YouTube. Download the previous episodes on SoundCloud audio for free. Check it out and listen in the car while you're doing the dishes, wrapping presents on Christmas. I don't care, just listen to it. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, post some pretty cool stuff on there. And obviously, go check out Brandon Barry.
Appreciate that.
Cool, yeah.
Very cool.
Deuces.